Big Bo, we're going to be fixing the steering today, just the tie rod ends. I'm only doing two, because I only have two threaded pieces to put it on. If I can find one in my box, I'll get some of these in my, there's probably some in that junk box. I keep all the spare parts, like hangers and shit. In there, there's a whole box of pulleys out there, and that's just random stuff. I don't know what that is. But, what we're going to do today, we're going to cut about right there, or in there, probably where that mark is. This is the rigged up stuff I was talking about last video. I've never seen people do this before. Crappiest welds ever. It looks like the welder just like gassed a hole in the side of it. And then they welded a bolt in there. And they just welded like two things of round stock around it. But we're going to cut it right there. I'm going to bevel the end. Then what we're going to do, we're just going to put, just like that, this, cut off, this right here, cut it, weld it on right there. We're going to do the same thing. I don't know if I'm going to do this one yet. I'm thinking about doing the other front tie rod, the one that connects the two tires. I already did one side of it. I might as well just do the other one to match it. But after we get all these done, I'm ordering Heim joints. I don't know when. 3/8 Heim joints. I'm going to be going on the ends. They're a lot more stable and they last a lot longer than these. Everybody's seen this ball and cup theme. They just wear out. People tell me you can fix them with a washer and weld around them, but there's really no point. You can buy a whole, I think it's like $6 to $12 to buy two of these, and they're just going to wear out again. So what I'm going to do is buy the Heim joints. They're $4 a piece on BMI carts. I'm going to buy 6 of them. No, 4 of them. Put one on each end. And put it on the mud mower. Then we're probably going to make a storage box. I got some sheet metal right there off my hood. See, I put some seat trim on the outsides of it to make it look better. And it also helps it with vibration. Probably going to put a storage box right there where that wire is, and just take that wire and move it over to where it's supposed to be. I made it too short. Put a storage box right here, and probably just make it to where this arm right here is welded across. Or I'm probably gonna, I have to reinforce this somehow. I gotta make this welded against that. It's gotta be connected so it don't sit there and flex. Because when it flexes, well, it moves back and forth just a little bit, and then when it's running, it does this. If you're gonna make that clutch, go 1/4 inch steel all around. I just didn't have it. Or if you have that 1/16 or whatever that is, it's probably 1/8. Just go with that and overlap it. Here's part of the steering. Well, here's the first side done. Had to use a stick welder, which is still going. It's that little 70 amp Harbor Freight welder that I have. That's not my best welds at all. That's sort of like the crappiest weld I've ever done in a while. But it'll hold. You can see it's a little bit warped, so let's take a hammer and beat it. Just put on a piece of asphalt or concrete, just bend it down. But I'm going to take the grinder, clean it up. Gonna put this back on. This end's still new, so I'm going to use it for a little while to get the Heim joints. But I'll put this back on the tractor. I think it's hot. There's a finished weld on it. So I grounded it down. Now, just got to put it on there. I thought I'd get this on camera, because as soon as I kicked this tire, that socket popped right off. I'm glad I'm replacing them now. So it literally just popped right off as soon as I started kicking it. I took the other side off. And this side's on. There's no slack in that anymore. I need probably just shim the front end, which is not really that much. Just take the bolt out. I probably won't do a video on that. But you saw how I beveled the other end, so I'm going to put this one on. You're probably thinking to yourself, why is that thing in two pieces? Well, I dropped it, and where I had welded it before in the middle, when I was putting it together, my welder was on low before. I didn't notice it, and it sort of just fell apart. I'm glad I didn't do that when I was going about 15 to 20 off-road. But I gotta fix this one. This is a second tie rod. You can see the ends of it's on. So we're gonna bevel the ends on the middle of it and weld it up just like the other ones. Well, after about an hour of working on it, I have several times where it just broke. Not at the welds where the tie rods are. Them are fine. They never did break. So I had to weld her on low before, a couple months ago when I welded the rod together. But it's all together. That one's got the replaceable one on it. This one's got a newer one on it. That one up there, finally, since this one was just sitting here rubbing inside of that, and it would have messed it up. It was widening the hole already. Only play now is just in a little bit in the ball joint, like a tiny bit, and because I'm just gonna put heim joints on it, it'll be perfect. And then just do the front end. But yeah, that's about it for the steering. The welds held pretty good. The welder didn't overheat this time, which I'm surprised it didn't go on its duty cycle. I did about 20-30 rods I was using on it. You can see my whole floor is like covered in slag, and there's a big pile of the rods. But usually I use a Campbell and Hounsfield flux core 80 amp. It's an old welder. It's probably from the 90s. This is what I use. It's got high and low and speeds up. I usually run my speed between 3.5 and 4.5. It tells you what it can do on here, the heat selector, and yep, it uses flux core. I'm just out of welding wire right now. So I'm using that little Harbor Freight Chicago electric welder. I think I got that for $70. I used it for cheap metal because this big blue one blows through it. The blue one, I just use them little 2-pound rolls, flux core 30.030, and it does pretty good. The black one, I've used so many kinds of rods. So the rods that you get with that welder, if you ever do buy it, get these. They're 1/16. That's the only thing that welder will burn. It says it can burn bigger rods. It can't do that at all. Get the 60-13s and the 70-14s if you're going to do that. But for the SEARS right now, sitting outside. Only thing it needs right now is a tube and front end rebuilt, just to where it sways back and forth. That's the only necessary things that it needs. Now, what I would like to put on, as I said previous in the video, is a toolbox. Because this model didn't have a toolbox. The toolboxes came after 66. They came out whenever the round fenders came out, because I couldn't mount them on the square fenders. My 68 has a toolbox on it. My 72 16 has a toolbox on it. It's just lack of storage. Fearless Front did one toolbox on the rack. Yeah, that looks good, but I don't want to do that. I don't like copying people a lot. When I did this build, I've always wanted to make a SEARS, a mudder, before Fearless did it. I just never knew where to start off at. So, that's about it to today. I'm thinking of putting a some sort of hitch back here. Like on my 18, it has a big hook. It sits right there. I just got that half cut and bolt sitting right there. That way if I get stuck, I can just pull it out or tie it down to something. I'm liking how this thing is turning out. I probably am going to fix that tail light. The footboards, definitely going to mod those because your feet fall off every time you get on it. I'm thinking about taking angle line and putting it right here just so your back of my boot can catch it. So I can, so my boot can catch it, and I'm either thinking about putting rubber undercoating, either rubber undercoating, bed liner, or the pads off an MTD that I have. I don't know about that yet. I've even thought of putting shingles on it. Cut a little piece of shingle off and just epoxy it on. Because your feet just slide right off, and I've had it multiple times about hit the tires. And I've had my feet go underneath one of these tires once, and it was not a good day. It sort of hurt a lot. But as you saw, I had put the trim around the hood. Only reason I did that because this hood's so pitted, and for some reason the ends of these SEARS hoods are always bent down or chipped on the ends or pitted out. I've never seen a 60s model so rusted. If you look really close, it's got pits all through it. I've never seen a 60 do that. I've only seen a 70s. I do not like this. I know this is factory, I don't like it. It's got a rip on both sides. This is coming out. And I'm thinking about replacing it with somebody did this to the front. Thinking about buying more of that and putting it on the side. I might, as I said a couple seconds ago, either angle iron or extend this out a little bit and bolt it into that, or have another piece of angle iron coming over and just have it bolt all together. That way I can take this apart. But all the mods out now. I do gotta fix this bar. If you noticed in the last video, it jiggles like crazy and it just makes that noise and it drives me insane. So I always have to put my foot on it when I drive it around. I fixed the hood from rattling a lot. That's also where that trim came in. It was like a rubber. Gonna take the PTO rod out, the mechanism. That's going on my 68. Just gotta paint it and put it on it. Gotta make a belt guard from the back. Still haven't done that yet. I'm sort of trying to wait till I get welding wire, because I hate stick welding with that little thing. I was thinking, because some of the models came out with a guard right there. I thought about taking some sheet metal at my papa's, bringing it over, and sort of shielding this area up around the pulley, and then shield it all the way up to right here, and then go up and then make a cutout for the muffler. That way this will not get water if these tires turn into it. Because you can see when you turn it, it would just have a tendency to just splash right on that drop pulley, and I don't want that. People have had belt slippage a lot before. I know I'm going to have a little bit back there, but I'm probably just going to end up making a splash guard when I make the belt guard. Underneath it, I'm really thinking about making a little channel that comes through, or just make a big plate that goes across, because it'd be so much simpler if I just made a whole plate that just came up to that one spot right there, and then it just hooks on. There's a big crossbar where the later models from this 69 and up, I think, and the bigger ones had their 2 tie rods that would go into that one plate. Because my 83 or 84 GT18 has it. My 72 ST16 has it too. But that's about it today for this one. It's got a few odds and ends to go on it, just to make it the way I want it. I am going to do there will be more videos in the future about this thing. There might be a couple of mudding videos, because I am thinking about taking this to Buffalo Mountain. There probably will be I know there will be a bumper put on the front, but I don't want it to be permanent. I want it to be slid in, drilled holes, bolted together. And I know there's going to be antifreeze put in the front tires, I've said before. And I'm really thinking about putting a front skid plate on it, because the tie rod is so close to it. I might do it, I might not. I've thought about not doing it. I thought about doing it too, but just a few more odds and ends and it'll be done. Well, for now. Please comment, rate, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.